Everyone, thank you so much for coming out to spend your evening with us. I was asked to come here today to curate a showcase of queer writers, and I wanted to appreciate how important it is that we are all here today in a time in Alberta history which is so brazenly anti-queer, anti-literacy, and anti-art. Queer people have always been stewards of the arts, and it is so important that the art community keeps showing up for queer people because queerness and art are made of the same thing, which is the possibility that life is more than it is right now. So thank you so much for being here. On that note, I wanted to open up with a strong contender for my favorite short story of all time. This is by David Wojnarowicz, who is a writer who was based out of New York during the AIDS crisis. He had a very tragically short writing career, but in that time he produced some of my favorite writing. So this is a very short story. This is Into the Drift and Sway. Sometimes it gets dark in here behind these eyes. I feel like the physical equivalent of a scream. The highway at night and the headlights of this speeding car. Speeding is the only motion that lets the heart unravel. And in the wind of the road, the two-story framed houses appear one after the other like some cinematic stage set. Houses on both sides of my face unraveling towards me, and the trees casting shadows like fallen X-rays into the sides of the white clapboard. And occasionally some yard dog hooting a silent fear noise that's lost in the rush of everything. And once before, when I felt this way, I screamed loud and long and hated the sound of my own voice, and so haven't ever tried it again. I hate highways, but love speeding, and I can only think of men's bodies and the drift and sway of my own. If sex was a dance, I'd do a crawl for that body I saw this afternoon, the guy stepping out from the cab of his truck in the parking lot of the bus stop. He looked kind of Canadian in a sexy collared shirt and tight faded jeans and thick leather belt and boots and a crease in the front of his pants that let his dick rest lazy and calm, and forearms I'd want under my tongue. And after the turn on the bridge, when I'd swung back going north, stopped at a rest stop, and a truck pulled in, I walked past it a little later, and a ruby red light flicked on, and a silhouette of a man in worker's pants stepped out swinging from the bar next to the outside rear view mirror and walked past me in a blaze of car lights and entered the bathroom. I walked around for a while. He never came back out. Finally, I went in and bent slightly, saw his legs beneath the frame of one of the stalls, and took the one next to him, pulled down my pants, and sat on the cold toilet and looked down to my side. And there was a puddle of water between the two stalls under the dividing panel, and it reflected light from the overhead ceiling fixture, and through its transparency was the squared outline of gray floor tiles, and as I looked at it, I realized that I could see the overhead lit features of this truck driver, and the pale wash of his eyes, and jawline, and cheekbones, and following the illuminated shoulders and the surface of the puddle down his arms, only one was illuminated, and part of his chest pressing through the flimsy t-shirt and down his forearms into his wrists, and the puddle moved a bit, breaking the image into wavy lines and pieces of light. And when his face came back into focus and the water was still, I held my breath so as not to disturb it. I looked in the vicinity of his hands, two hands lit from various angles, pieces of wrists with cold, white lights and parts of fingers and all of it wrapped around a silhouette of a hard dick which he waved back and forth in the reflection. His image, for a moment, looked like it was floating upside down beneath the surface of the floor, and I was therefore floating right side up, and from his vantage point I was floating upside down, and he right side up, and up in the cab of his rig he pulled off his pants, saying, "Don't worry about the cops. They always check the cars first." And by flashing their flashlights through each one, we got plenty of time just to enjoy it. Go ahead, enjoy yourself. And putting his big hand around the back of my neck and pressing gently till my face could make out the outline of his moving dick, I could see the dim hairs covering his balls. Go ahead, use your tongue a lot and less teeth. That's it, more tongue and less teeth. Yeah, where I come from, there's 3 brothers who come over my place when they can get away. They come over for the night and they love it. Go ahead, that's right. Enjoy it. Enjoy yourself. His fingers and face scattered into shards of light. Thank you. I have some poems that I wrote semi-recently. These two talk to each other in ways I didn't really intend, but I'd like to share with you today. The first one is called How to Skinny Dip with Friends. 1. Be clear who's indulging who. 2. As Zeus gave Prometheus one hell of a view, show comparable mercy when virtue bucks the cuckold chair. 3. Be intentional with hair. Plan for long, mid-morning shadows to vanish by noon. 4. Go home if prudish. Otherwise, 5. Maintain good grip on handrails or else slip on why nots and might as wells. 6. Wager rock against scissors/paper. Remember this for later. 7. When sundown hits the sand, keep an empty hand. Let no souvenir skew the memory of why you were here in the first place. 8. When sharing a homeward ride, know how to bide your time. 2 truths and a lie is always exciting, so long as truths arrive with evidence, and lies are a wish in disguise. And this one takes its title from T.S. Eliot. This is M.X. Van Guinn's Saturday Night Service. Never have I ever been blackout drunk. Aperol is the cleanest shot, bleating lambs and snarling dogs in disarray. We lost the corral long ago. Never have I ever been high on mushrooms. Shag carpet damp with spilled red wine makes dew for dewy grass sometimes, and something of the broken mirror takes me to the folding and wrinkling river. Never have I ever been chased by the cops. How did we get here? Tangled up in spiders' webs, sharing a 45-degree fever. Never have I ever been skinny dipping. And what did you say again when you meant you still think about my body sometimes? Never have I ever fucked a coworker. Memory may lose count of the days, but the skin knows how long it's been. Never have I ever fucked somebody I shouldn't have. We weren't talking about your new tattoo, but I'm glad to see it anyway. And here I thought we were just passing the time, you brutes and conspirators, werewolves, you. Never have I ever had group sex. Antony betrays Cleopatra, and Beatrice courts Dante, all's abecedarian in love and war. Never have I ever cheated. Are you seeing the guy who's driving you home? And is that Lear you're quoting from? Never have I ever hooked up with somebody in this room. I'm sick of the intimacy and feeling. Like a mad god, I want to rain destruction and death on the lives we're living. Keep the bass drum beating between my ears and march on till morning. Never have I ever spent a night in the hospital. Ignore the noise. It's just the cats. Thank you. I have a book out. This hit store shelves just last month. Some of you have gotten your hands on it already. The narrator of this book is a old man on his deathbed whose identity is revealed throughout the story. This is a two-hander. There are two main characters, but in my view, the protagonist of the book has always been the city it takes place in, the fictional city of Enemy. And what I want to read with you today is a section where the characters leave for a little bit and the city takes center stage. So this is a abbreviated version. Edward Montgomery was away from Enemy 6 years. 2 longer than he promised. Whether he miscalculated or lied, even he doesn't know. Perhaps one motive fed the other, and the twin snakes twisted over each other, fading to obscurity, knotted together. Over these 6 years, in Edward's absence, the city of Enemy decayed. This is true in 2 meanings of the word. Decay denotes death and acknowledges that death is not annihilation, but transformation from one form to the next. But decay also denotes an explosion of life and opportunity on a scale which is infinitesimally grand. When a house abandoned by its owners is overtaken by infestation springing up from the earth, the house is far from dead. No, it's more accurate to say that at the time of Edward's abscondence, Enemy suffered a death just as Edward had. And in the process of healing, the metal warped, the wood splintered, and though made to be a quaint, charming home for happy families and children, Enemy completed its recovery in a form quite different. For example, time revealed that the troubles plaguing Dick and Dot's downtown bakery were only a symptom of the wider economic collapse reaching far and wide, eating indiscriminately and voraciously. When the Depression had just freshly plastered its face on all the shop windows, the air showed compassion. The bakery ran muffins to the diner next door, which would host free dinners for the soccer team from the local school. Hand in hand, these businesses turned to the city with an open display. Everything will be okay. Quickly this proved not to be true, and quickly the round smile of the baker in the morning turned to a flat stare once the neighbor came through the door. Sunshine, is a passing phenomenon, and when it passes, the universe returns to its default state, cold. Competition turned to sabotage, turned to mutually assured destruction. Soon all were aware that enemy was nothing now but a pot of water rapidly reaching a boil. Thus, the mass exodus from enemy began. Pilgrims who sought fertile ground in this new city now saw only barren soil and trudged on, including Dick and Dot Burgess. It was time to leave. Neither were the type to stay in one place long anyway. The loving husband and loyal wife prepared 2 suitcases with all that remained from a once vast collection from their homeland before taking a taxi to the edge of town. It was chilly that day. Dick kissed his wife on the head, tipped his beer bottle over, and emptied it into the grass. Dot smiled and emptied her drink as well. Boarding a crowded train on a dewy morning, Dick and Dot looked out the window at a city synonymous with loss. They thought of the part of them hewn off and left to rot in the dirt. The city held no moral lesson, no grand reason for hosting them. But in each other, Dick and Dot saw everything until death, whatever or wherever that may be. As the train chugged down the tracks, blinding white sun soaking through the windows, the Burgess pair smiled right down to their bones. In the wake of extinction, there is opportunity. And citizens of enemy are nothing if not opportunistic. In these empty houses, defunct neighborhoods, and dormant businesses, a new species of profiteer laid its burrow. The criminal element, resourceful enough to weather the turmoil, infested these buildings and ate the rot until it was strong enough to stand, and as it stood, it grew. It evolved lungs that could breathe the bitter air and could no longer stand to stay indoors. Soon, the first of these criminals stepped out into the sunlight. He opened his eyes. He looked about. The street was bare. The trees were dead. All these neighboring buildings with peeling signs and crumbling plaster were such a waste, housing a couple parasites each. What if they could be more than parasites? What if, instead of eating to survive, they could eat for the taste, and in doing so, develop a palate for new, exotic flavors? So the Spartans arrived, the gang which unified all others with respect and fear. The Spartans quelled rivalries, erected alliances, and ushered in an era of unity unseen in 6 years by most of enemy's citizens. How they accomplished this, I won't delve into. This is not their story. This is the story of love turned into hatred, of Edward Montgomery and Fenella Burgess. But so solid, so absolute was the peace maintained by Spartan power that the city Edward returned to after his 6 years abroad was nigh identical to the one he left, with not a crack nor bruise to hint at the trauma. That is my time. Thank you very much. And I'm very happy now to introduce our next reader, who's a very long and illustrious bio. Chimedum Ohaegbu resides in Moh'kinstsis, colonially known as Calgary, Alberta. She is a 3-time Hugo Award winner and Room Magazine's managing editor. She's a 2021 graduate of UBC's creative writing program, Bachelor of Fine Arts, and as a playwright, the 2021 Black Arts Development Program. She loves insect facts, the theater and stage plays, birds and magpies especially, and orchestral video game music. Her work can be found in Arc Poetry magazine, Contemporary Verse 2, the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction, the year's Best Dark Fantasy and Horror, Volume 3, and As the Earth Dreams, Black Canadian Speculative Stories, among others. She is currently working on her first novel. Please give a warm welcome to Chimmy.
First poem is called There's Always a Reason to Stay with a Man Who Hates You. That could be the whole poem, but I'm going to elaborate. There's always a reason to stay with a man who hates you. Same answer as yesternoon and tomorrow. I'm not leaving him. Over and over you say so, but there is always another ambassador of so-called common sense to convince. Today, it's the avians who have never been in milk or debt, only vino veritas from good berries. Ignorant animals, know-nothing birds. There's talking tipsy, and then there is always we could find a good in him, were we struck by amnesia every hour on the hour, every year from here on out. How is that helpful? They might shut up if you offer libation, not the leaving and letting go they drool for, but instead what there is, always. Your I'm sorry-shaped mouth moving out explanations. There is always. The choristers gesture toward the horizon. You keep talking and they start flying away. They fly away. There's always a reason to stay with a man who hates you, and sometimes it's that you have never had wings of your own. The swan interrogators sing, unreasonable, unreasonable, on the wing. Their privilege is showing. Swans mate for life, and here is a reason. You are earthly, chastised, not about to be thrice embarrassed by birds that look like a bandit, stealing your peace and replacing it with nothing. You aren't legible to them. Fine. There isn't always a reason to stay with a man who hates you, but if there were, nobody has the right to demand your justification unless they have justice to trade. Stay your hand, and your mercy will be sung of for generations. Stay young at heart, and you'll have years enough to make it to the springtime on the other side of trouble. Stay on your toes, and if the swans say it's fear that has you walking on eggshells, explain that it's called ballet. Stay in his good graces, and you'll see what hate is not. There's always a reason to stay with a man who hates you. For the moment, let us say that it is an execution stayed and staged at once. With a man who hates you, uncertainty dies. Everyone you might have been is underfoot. The scholar, the scoundrel, absolutely the unscathed. With a man who hates you, you are secure. You know where you stand in the cosmos. Don't wince. If the land you root in is far off from heaven, then that just makes you as architect as the other Babylonians. Pull the tower up, syllable by syllable pull the tower up, kiss soil off the bricks, climb until you're high as swanways and able to speak with a man who hates you, instead of calling to him from the bottom of a well, penniless despite the wishes whipped against your head. There's always a reason to stay with a man who hates you. Sometimes it's that you look damn fine as a bilingual. You who envies the lust lives of swans, you who has hungered after honey for so long, you who envies, you who hungers, you would-be ballerina, you misdirected berserker, you invariable romantic. You know that if he was just a man who hates you, you'd have scorned him for the warm dark of trees long since. But he's different. To you, you've said the vows. You two, this is what nobody seems to want to understand. You two got symbiotic together, ripening at the same rate, by the same lake. A past the dew, not swan-like by nature, but by choice. You know him now and are known to him. He's not a man who hates you, he's the man who hates you. And who could be more impressive than a girl who makes mortal men gods? And that's that one. Okay, this one is called, it's had variable names. It was published as Innamorata. Right now I'm calling it Lover Maybe because I was like, I don't speak Italian and there's no reason for it to have been called what it was called. I don't remember what magazine it was published in. That's not to say I published so much, but I also do. Anyway, this one is currently called Lover Maybe, previously called Innamorata. Whenever you're near, I bring gasping along, just in case you prefer air to speech. I'd slide you my breath if that act bared your teeth. I've a genius for longing, but no feel for fruition. Would gnaw my tongue loose before I ever called you baby or uttered any evidence we can't unmeet. Once you wished me good night, so casually, that when we hung up, I tore through time to make psalm of my frantics, pressed my kiss against one palm while the other moved mesopelagic to strike a torch song twice into my own touch. Okay, thrice. Is that pathetic? Would you like it to be? Was that funny? Hey, I like you laughing. I can be a comedian or a coincidence. Let me be your philosopher. I like you in thoughtful repose. For my first paradox, philosophers do those. Even when you're touching me, I wish you were touching me. Baby, 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 perfecting peristalsis into daytime, fingers slid into my mouth for my vespers. There's precious little nutrition to barely there auto-cannibalism. Whatever keeps me quiet's cool. Without such measures, the sight of you would drive me absolutely to worship. I'd name you by your deeds and ways. Oh, dark-eyed anecdotalist, gray-sweatered bliss, lavender-loving one, dulcifier of the dawn, butterfingers, baby, baby, if only we were nuns, we could practice our prayers on each other. Or philosophers for real that used to wrestle after debates I've heard. Or Sunday noon fishers, sniffing for salt, comparing line to line, halibut to halibut. Give me a hand, help me out of here. I'll do anything, take the moth lessons to heart, then graduate an expert écorché and quenchless too. I'll give you anything, rapport, rosé, eiderdown, not generosity this. My smile is yours already, my mischief is yours, my midnight's yours, my throat is yours if you'd just take it, my sleeplessness yours, my flights of fancy hew to your path. I loaned you Pure Nessie, and I taught you to birds. So that's 2 times and counting that my ornithology's yours. There's nothing that need to be mine. If you'd only send me a sign, I would move to you with everything that I have. And that one is done. This is called Premier Daniel Smith Affirmations. I joyfully release the burden of accountability. I see opportunities to practice parasitism everywhere. I joyfully release my jaw. My mandibles click. When a racist smiles, I'm good as goldfish. I'm the snack that smiles back. I'm not concerned about the condition of my soul. I'm not insoled, rather endorsed. I'm not going to clench my teeth. I am not going to grind my molars into each other and make my mouth dusty and rusty with blood. I'm not above biting a bullet if it means I can spit it at my opponents later, and if it means my teeth don't get tectonic with each other in the night. I am not stressed. I am not stressed. Today and every day, I am Alberta's antidote. Today and every day, I increase Albertans' exposure to ashfall in a year-round fire season. Today and every day, I am good to what's good to me, white supremacy. I let go of mindsets that no longer serve me, like decency, compassion, fellow feeling, civil rights, warm-heartedness, generosity, leadership, the concept of human kindness, science, proper policy, research, ethical behavior, the feeling of the sun at appropriate times of the year, doctors, nurses, teachers. I let go of honeybees. I let go of honey. I let go of your grip on your own body. I let go of your right to forests. I let go of your right to transness. I let go of any mercy I might have wrongfully shown in the past. I let go of any chance of enacting some good in the present. I let go of the future. The universe and the UCP flow through me. I attract votes in abundance. I focus on the best things about suppression. I focus, and through focusing, I am able to not grind my teeth, but rather unhinge my jaw for some relief. The top and bottom halves wave in the breeze like a flag. I focus on my skin, not on the exoskeleton growing in. With every breath, I exhale CO2. With every breath, fuck the carbon tax. With every breath, I stimulate the economy. I am not a goddamn firefighter. I am not here to help. I'm not innocent. I'm not ignorant. I'm not daily increasing the population of ghosts. I am not sleeping poorly at night. I am not gnashing my teeth when I am not looking. I am not making mush of my mouth. I love who I am and especially who I am becoming. My mandibles click, my antenna twitch. I love who I am and especially who I am becoming. I am a pleasure to have in legislature. I have so many legs left to lose. I have absolutely nothing to lose. And that's that one. That's exciting because I think last time I read this, it was to a bunch of real what should I say, Danielle Smith heads. So no one was laughing, and I was like, it's funny, she's turning into a bug. Which is normal. Here's something totally different. This one is called Culpable to the Minutes. It was published in Filling Station recently, ? I hope that's true. It was published recently. So this one is called Culpable to the Minutes. My innocence on the abacus, even though you've already deemed me wolf. Courtroom drama as directed by Internet Questionnaire. How often did you feel seen? Never, rarely, sometimes, often, always. Circle never, see what happens. Circle never, state your case, and I'll evidence like a hunting hound places the hare. I saw you shy, raised a toast at scale, and slowly to your June Jordan tattoo. I saw you sweet tooths, a swirled chantilly sundaes, decayed banana for the loaf, chose floss, 9 over 10 professionals recommend, while sugarcoating the venom of the last. I saw you sleepless and went without with you, learning your chess, those sparrowless hours, though yawns hauled my jaw apart. Say never. My heart felt bore down in lockstep with how you wanted to be wanted. You were absolutely haunted when we lived together, dogged. You went lousy with attention. Let me finish the questionnaire. I can answer square. Always, when you loosed fighting words at my family, howling ill of my appetites. Often caprice took to me in the Ides of my June anniversary, and you, vigilant, raised me from the bed. Sometimes you bit my earlobe and hip, as if I couldn't tell your bribery from your hunger. Sometimes you said I shouldn't feel obligated to stay up. Rarely am I allowed to make you laugh anymore. I don't know what makes you laugh anymore. What gets you giddy other than showing me your back now that you've pushed my head beneath nostalgia's waters? Time flies, life flees. It's simple, but I don't understand. I wish I had done something wrong. I wish I would do something wrong. But never would I utter never. I know you still see me. Your pupils dilate. 5 months on will find me forgetting the taste of your birthmarks. 3 weeks from now's for drinking deeply your crew neck's skyline smell, rationing nothing like some kind of heiress. Now it's dusk. Our breath lays unbraided. My hands pass through your hands on the way to the salt. I don't know which of us is vapor and which condemned, but sitting here, silvering, I remember you already. This one is called Prayer September 8th. Please, God, don't let me embarrass myself. If it's to be scare chords from here on out, then let me go on the record as anyone but the violinist. You ever seen a half animal sunk down in the blues? God, Heavenly Father, here I am, heavy with hues that cut me from flights off the handle, file down my bite, yet don't hide my reckless sulking from the others. Please, Lord, lift me up, even if it is true that I have licked women and sucked wine, danced myself dirty and outside of covenant, all while laying down. Yes, I do like it low, naked and low, but please, God, if you're going to unbless me, if I'm to take on water, could you at least send me someone who's forgotten their swimming too? If I can't want saving, then I want company. Please, God, cast out my hypocrisy and make me hail. Get me right before I go crazy, really crazy in front of this whole fucking party. If what's going to happen is that I am going to make it worse with witnesses, then strike me down now and spare us the sight. If I'm to be fatally embarrassing, could you please make sure it's not, in front of a girl? A shallow ask, God, but I do dread the deep. There's company, God, even I cannot keep. Lord God, I am absolutely beside myself and would be more stylish above. I've been known to suck women and lick wine, saying stupid, low things when permitted proximity to my tongue. So pull me out of and over my head, where I may puppet my marionette from an angel's eye view. True that I've refused the violin, but these strings, they're sweet. They can't ever create a key change that makes the half-animal, blue-bound me see red and thrash free with sulky recklessness. God, I don't want to be a flight risk. God, I don't want to start my bite history yet. Do not let me embarrass myself, please, God. I need any kissless behavior in me to be revoked. Need it rebuked. Need it repressed. Need it drowned. Revoke it, rebuke it, repress it, God. Drown it, Lord, now, please. I'm begging you to send a robber to pick my pocket and get more than what she bargained for, or else place me the arsonist's hope, so when I refuse to feed fires, it proves my virtue. Let me be suave and make me unhungry, Lord, like the gourmand I know I could be. Please, God, let me into that covenant of women who want nothing and yet are wanted by everything. They're never embarrassed. There's no shame without need. And I have 5 minutes. So I'm going to read an excerpt from my novel in progress, which is heterosexual. No, but it's good. It's still good. Also, it's not heterosexual. Anyway, so the novel in progress has gone by a few names. For the purposes of this reading, I'm going to call it Lariat. A lariat is like a lasso. Lassos are round. This story concerns circles and repetition and what happens when you're unloved for long enough or loved wrong for long enough and what it makes you do to other people who should be your allies but maybe aren't going to be anymore. And it can't be found anywhere because it's not published, but well, you haven't even heard it. You don't know if it's good.
It's good.
I'm going to read. In the upper chamber of the afternoon, the clouds drifted apart, slow as stage curtains, revealing the sun. The 1,000-strong herd of Hercocervi, the goat stags, the cherry blossoms they trod upon, the mist muting the air, everything white became whiter and worse. The light lanced Natachi's eyes into water as if she didn't cry easily enough these days, and she could only credit the scrimshaw snow shade she shoved onto her face with pinching the bridge of her nose. So she took them off. For the first time in her life, a non-edible god's gift proved useful. As she walked, she lifted the letter to her brow bone in defense against the shining. A faraway voice lifted in song as though somebody had mistaken her shield raising for a solemn maestro's cue. The tears purled on her lashes as she blinked. She had heard the singer before, back in the morning when there had been clouds. How lovely, she had whispered in that dimness. How lovely, too, at last, have someone to speak with, even though he was surely not real. This is what she had thought then. Now the singer threw her the familiar notes of the naif's prayer, and she was glad he was here. He could not be here. This was a place for rhinoceros-sized goats and sight-slicing light and flea-bit, sneaking, nasty-hearted, ghoulish, unsexed, hateful, brutal, lower-than-leprosy sinners. Natachi's fellows, according to justice, and her betters, to hear the sea god, her victim, tell it. She snorted. One of the goats snorted just after her, and the kinship this evinced was amusing. She would have fit in here just fine, even if she had never sinned. Less clear was what justified the presence of the singer. Before, his singing had been excellent, but now, as he reached the climax of the prayer, he arrested her, pronouncing pleas like someone good at or used to being put on his knees. The surrender in his tone unsettled Natachi utterly, brought the pauses between her vertebrae to a rolling boil, and swapped her stomach for a coal bed, her every breath a bellows. More stoking she needed, more tender and quick. A greater thing than curiosity drove her toward the singer now, the fire's ecstasy for oxygen. The singer crooned onto her, into her, for her with the fervor of the ignorant. He really must exist, for not in 1,000 lifetimes could she have dreamed of such innocence. His voice was warm as cavity berry cider and twice the intoxicant. Heavens, but he was endearing, this know-nothing nightingale. Let me see a treacherous path and pass over it lightly, he sang. How pleasurable it would be to join her voice to his, even if the duet would be lopsided in favor of his splendid voice. Their only audience would be the goats anyway, so unless they were more discerning than she knew, she shouldn't embarrass herself unduly. God, if she had such tones in her, she would have been able to pretty her way out of her predicament, probably. As soon as she caught herself catching her tongue in her teeth, she released it. Jealousy, as usual, had brought out the carnivore in her. Skilled vocalists had ever elicited this reaction from her. She and Eve's friendship nearly ended before it began, thanks to Eve's captivating alto, and it still started, for her, in a hello spoken with a swollen organ. And I'll stop there. Thank you for having me.
Cool. So I'm going to start with some poems about home. Wrote much of this for my undergraduate honors thesis, and it's about a place in Ponoka that doesn't really exist anymore. So this is called From the Battle River Valley, a pamphlet describing the advantages of the country drained by the Battle and Saskatchewan rivers as a field for settlement. Perhaps the first question the intending settler will ask about the Battle River Valley is, where is it? And it will therefore be. As may be inferred, it is the name given to that section of county drained by the Battle River, a tributary of the North Saskatchewan which takes its rise in the Battle Lakes, near the base of the Rocky Mountains. These lakes lie, land between the North Saskatchewan and Red Deer rivers, the general course of the Battle River confluence with the Saskatchewan, its source, as the river followed down the soil a trifle, the lower portion assumes a character, vegetable mold, light adapts the raising of cereals. Away to the south of the river and extending beyond the 49th parallel lies a vast tract of country heretofore known as the Badlands, which are now found to be admirably adapted for grazing purposes. While skirting the Battle River on both sides and stretching northward across the Saskatchewan until the southern limit of the true forest is reached, it is a section unexcelled for fertility and productiveness through the entire length and breadth of the Northwest. Although these sketches are collected under the heading of the Battle River Valley, it is not intended to be inferred that it is the only on the banks of the stream, circumjacent county, advantages, settlement. Within its limit, immigration progresses until the whole section brought under the hand of the tiller of the soil, attempts at settlement, a bustling village, the town thriving, the seat of territorial government, the site chosen, the fertility, about 350 miles, varies in width, the bank almost clothed with timber. The river preserves an almost uniform width and depth, and there is no doubt that careful experiment will prove it to be navigable for small steamers of light draft. This next poem is about my mothers, of which I have had three. Three mothers, two rivers, and lines composed in utero. Remember Calgary, 1998. Concrete pummels the throbbing heartpiece of the victim park you made your home. Rundle ruins. It's been 6 years since I honored its patients and mothers in abandon. Down the street we shared a body once. At house number 635, you and I. The Pearson flag draped over the window port keeps the draft in, and the honky-tonk grave lot preserves my memory of two boys and one woman. Nothing like a home lasts, your body says to my body. I am afraid. Number 2. Love is a candle wick. Fizzle, sizzle, hiss. Number 3. Spend the week to barter the kitchen table tariff while, in the outfield, old men ash their rollies into pewter bowls and scoff at Dust Bowl nostalgia. The Battle River requests renewal. Stirring Wilhelmina spoons damn the breach of tradition propped like toothpick teepees on birchwood plaids, peppered with butter dishes and serving trays. The vintage of wounds keeps a conscience at bay. Yours, ours. In February, Mother passed away. But in December, she tucked her silver Scorpio pendant into the pocket of my paling winter jacket. The river breeze whispers a sorry, but only a kitchen table answer slips out of my kitchen table lips, trafficking in new gospels and gossiping in old tongues. This is another poem about the prairies and the aforementioned place that I miss. Scorpio season, to grow sweet rhubarb, to pickle carrots, to gaze into garden sunflowers and drink cups and cups and cups of coffee. The rarest mineral is faith, and it's buried within peat moss and ground oyster shells. To love and bear without the quickening. Lost is faith unearthed. Listen to the cattle songs. There's a valley and a river and a house you built for somebody else. Do you love me? To pick weeds from soil until nails turn black and fingers bleed. There's a voice that rings up and down the creek telling you to try and try and try and try, and so you do. Love is diamonds, and it covers your skin like scales and the freckles you hate. Pay attention to the spots running down the bridge of my nose. They pay homage to you. To try and fail to swallow a single mouthful of orange juice. To mutter, ik heb niets gehad. I have had nothing, and yet. This poem is called Tristov for Orphan Wells. It's a Vedic poetry, and it's a kind of verse that I find really appealing, and it has a lot of historical significance, but this is about orphan wells and how much they suck. Abandon the pits that litter the prairies, self-decommission, To the poorest root of that collateral, say, body, permit the way soil ought to be. Hang up the hat on the horse head fall on me. Help me to orchestrate that ceaseless heaving when callous to and fro ecocides puncture the soft germ of the soil, wither greet the end. There is no way out but oil lust patricide is what to shout at the Cordillera sun that will never set here. The Anthropocene cannot name itself when wheel axle foundlings press us into orphans. This next one is a poem about being horny on the farm. You know, it's hard to be a horny farmer, especially when you're trans. You know, I just got like a friend request from this guy I used to know, like from way back home, and it made me think about things. So it's very, you know, I think this poem is I don't know why it popped into my head at the same time that Hank Schor reached out, but you know, sometimes the guy you used to fool around with is, you know, in the back of your mind somewhere. To seduce Susan Sontag, RE, an argument about beauty. A great work of art may be blemished, but its beauty remains, and this is a truth which any intellectually honest critic will recognize. Canola sallow, climb the rungs of the grain silo, rent the vista of cornfield for the fabric of skinny jeans. For the concealment of shaven legs and for the lotion stuffed into the hidden pockets of my writing desk, for the crusty bloody sheets of paper towel, for the deconstructed safety razors. Because at 100 feet, body is to feeling as seeing is to falling. Why hide? Permanence, however, is not one of beauty's more obvious attributes, and the contemplation of beauty, when it is expert, may be wreathed in pathos. Flared ribs, square hands, wide feet, broad chest. Everything squat, pressed, a flower between the verso and the recto. Bone bloated, hug me harder, hurt me harder, hit me harder. We are fashioned creatures, but half made up. Beauty has come to mean merely beautiful. There is no more vapid or Philistine compliment. Cover my mouth as you fuck me, or I'll quote Sisu or Wittig or Aeneas Nin. I know how much you hate theory. Shut me up. Make me stupid. Don't think of me if I come. In the absence of a definition in the strict sense, there was supposed to be an organ or capacity for registering beauty that is value in the arts called taste. Also dick, like if that's your thing. But can you sense the ash on your tongue? I know how you smoke a carton a day, on my thighs. What if I meet the call to worship? What if I stalk the streets at night, strangling little girls in public washrooms and hiding in grottos behind women's shelters? Purchase the bones in my face for $14.10 at the Petrocan on the corner, and don't forget a lighter. Will you love me then? Will you love me under the sign on the door, disabled only, ask attendant for key? Must I paw at my reflection in the pool? Beauty is precisely the ineffable. So I left those tallies on my thighs, riddles for future bedmates, and the drags of their fingers along the dregs of my epidermis. Do you think I'm soft? You are so soft now. Measure, mark twice, cut once. First with safety scissors, then with Gillette skin guard. Perfect, yes, precise. I exhale your unmet aesthetic passion. Sights for nails to trace when the surface gets softer. Spend this life inventing a body for you. A virtue of the concept becomes its liability. Beauty, which once seemed vulnerable because it was too general, loose, porous, was revealed as, on the contrary, excluding too much. A dust kick-up, the moles in their traps, the crisscross paths of silage, a maze, a map, a cartograph, a cunt, a place without placement. Delegate my desires to grass seed, long for the forests, the wood. Sway my hips and feel impermissible verboten. If you can't find me, if you can't pin me down, I can be anything. This poem is called, it's a prose poem. It's called Cross Dreaming. It's about lucid dreaming and about agency. Cross-streaming, I like how Nabokov understood premonition. Tucked under his bedsheets and blankets, scribbling down his thoughts in index cards. For Nabokov, dreams are unmoored, flowing freely in time. Consider, you wake up, you check Twitter, you find out that an atmospheric sinkhole appeared under Nelson, British Columbia, killing 4 and blocking the only highway between Vancouver and the east. This leads you to remember that during the night, you dreamed your car veered off the edge of a steep cliff during a heavy storm. In the mind of Nabokov, you do not see into the events of the future, but the opposite. The event happens, and then it comes to visit you in your bed. It's 4:30 a.m., and my ex puts in her earrings so the holes don't close. Shortly before 5, I drop her off at the business tower, where she climbs up the stairs and towards her coffee job. We do this every morning. The trek from your house to the LRT station is long and requires crossing the dark parking lot of a football stadium. My dad laughs at me when I tell him our routine and the reasons behind it, but I answer him, "That's not fair. I'm happy to take the time." My ex and I have a short exchange one evening while we wait for sleep. I don't think I'm a boy. I think I'm something else. She shifts her hand underneath the covers. Really? Most days, after locking the door behind me, I dump myself, a tangle of limb and hair and discontent, into the shower basin to let scalding water run me over and then down the drain. Make me clean, God, and I'll be yours for the rest of my life, just for one day, make me young again, make me new, make me whole. Then I drag my body out of the bathroom and into bed with the lights on. Lucid dreams occur when dreamers become aware that they are dreaming. During my daily psychic exercise, dripping wet, naked, clammy with sweat, and splayed out from edge to edge, I come home to myself. I've describing habit, but dreams are particular experiences, so follow me. Yes, that's it, come closer, right up against the grit of this story. Knock. The door of my childhood house swings open. Sit and breathe the salacious air of Home Alone. Dead static plays on the television. The wood stove is lit. Add another log to the fire. More warmth for winter. No, but this is a dream. You reach into the pocket of your homework desk and retrieve your lip gloss, your creams, your powders. You move, and the world moves with you. No, but this is a dream. You hear joyful shouts from the kitchen. You cut the cake. Happy birthday, Joni. The guests go, the girls and the boys. Your father passes you another slice, and you eat the half without the icing. No, but this is a dream. You're 19, and you're in the bedroom of your student accommodation. You're watching dumb YouTube videos on your MacBook with a guy who sits beside you in your astronomy class, the one with the generous laugh. You feel the twitch of his steady hand. No, but this is a dream. You're 24 now. You have a room of your own in the house. You have a room of your own in your house in the city. You put the coffee on, you put your hair up, you put your earrings in so that the holes don't close. You say hi to your roommate. She greets you back. A dog-eared copy of Pale Fire lies on the dining room table.
No, it isn't the job of marketing execs in tight black and white. It's that job that gathers the ranchers and their hands. Converge like the Red Sea after Moses relaxed. These men got plaid tucked in behind rodeo buckles on Wranglers, straw cowboy hats, wrinkled faces underneath, less wrinkled faces underneath. Suns down when hundreds of calves stumble with new burned prints on their asses, pesticides in their fur and ears dangling tags. Baby bulls, now testicle-free steers. Grumpy, wilted fruit, you wield the iron, red and angry, singing smoke into the air, searing shapes into the cattle flesh. Him, with the tight red balloon for a face. He's the ball cutter, the castratorial staff. He will be followed by a nephew/niece with a dripping nose and a sopping bucket, milk to catch the severed nuts, the pink, purple, and white slurry to be picked, battered, and fried for the big meal. Those homosexuals for sons, they'll be on horseback, rope high and a glove palm tossed around the hind legs of the babies. Mooing moms will call through the fence, but don't worry. They won't interrupt the cutting or the burning. Rope and drag the kids to the steel maw of the trap, dropped around their skull, or restrain the calves the traditional way. The two wrestlers, teens, holding the calves down in moves illegal in the WWE. All calves branded. The boys congregate at the big house to gobble pulled pork on white buns and chug beers and laugh all the time. Can you imagine having your nuts removed out of the blue and having to try to get back to normal? A castrati with no audience but other castrati? The ranchers laugh and boast to tell stories and get close and listen to the new music of the field. Thank you. Then I'm going to do 2 poems from just a little poetry zine that I published myself. This first one's called Hungry Eyes. Emerge from your plastic castle, burnt by the coil of an electric stove. You will not be sorry, gorging on blue eggs plucked from their nest, blue shards everywhere, drying in the sun. I am a deer caught in your headlights. Obliterate my hips, my rib cage. Leave me on this stone road, unable to join the worms. Boar with glass eyes, go on hunting. Knock down the walls, hiding the bird calls. What will you think if they sing from a crystal radio? The last birds on this stone slab. Then the last poem from this scene, this is called You Gotta Make a Beast. You gotta embryo the eyes and flaccid arms, the sprouting teeth and the curled torso. Leash it and bring it to parks. It leaves a sticky slug trail. Dogs lap it up and squirrels die snared there. The beast cries when you close the door. Leave it open. The slime baby vomits when you eat. Put the fork down. This child will bite and kick if you close your eyes. Stay awake. Stay with your beast. Try this and maybe you will be good. Deprived of flesh, transcending time. Go on geologically. Give your time to your beast. That's that. Now, this is my salacious one. This is a piece I wrote about, the pitch was, I have a spot open. Does anyone want to do something about pornography? And I thought, oh, I've never written about pornography before. This is about my pornography habits as a teenager, which appeared and then disappeared as quickly as they came. And any thoughts that I had about, maybe I don't like my body that much. Anyway, it disappeared until I was much further into my 20s. But yes, this is called Fursona Reveal. I'm a boy. I'm alone in a bedroom in the middle of a vast field. Mountains stretch high above my head, and I pull the covers to my chin. A light breaks through the dark, a crack in an obsidian wall. A winged dog, draped in white and gold garb, descends from the light. I don't know why, but I know that this feathered angel canine will fuck me. Surrounded by the heat of his light, he licks my neck, which cracks my bones. I can feel my new shape churned underneath my flesh. The angel slips beneath my blanket, touching me, caressing my chest, which swells, and my new breasts tremble. He licks them, biting playfully, and reaches his divine fingers down towards my hard Homo sapien cock, which he grips, and then he takes it in his maw. It glitters with the sweetness of my nectar, and my eyes can't see anything. I see everything. My body changes with the enjoyment, a hiss, my fingernails scratching the sheets, my back arched. I push myself further past his teeth. The dog angel gifts me with light, revealing God. She is here in my bed with me. And there I am. There she is. Who is she? Wasn't I here? Is she me? Glorious light spewing from the bed, and fast, too fast, the dark again. The quiet mountains heavy above me. Wind. The boy again. I start to jerk off when I'm 11, probably. Late at night in a room to myself, not mine. A room in Cranbrook, BC, where I stay with my grandparents. I remember first putting boobs in the search bar. Getting sterile Wikipedia definitions. My mom finds it in the search history, laughing, "Who searched boobs?" I'm horrified. No, it wasn't me. Nope, not me. I'm searching for porn sites for the first time. I come into the world of porn during Web 2.0, porn consolidated by conglomerate sites. My dad is a playboy, signed by the bunny in the centerfold, hiding half-heartedly, I would say, in the side table in my parents' bedroom. I'm excited about it once, but perhaps I don't replace it discreetly enough because it disappears from the side table shortly after discovery. Browsing, pupils dilating, I drink the repetitive carnality so new to me. One site hands to me an ad. It is a girl, laying in her bed. She looks shocked, not horrified, but surprised by the enormous cock attached to her. This monstrous thing shoots up from under her panties, up her tank top, cum dribbling from the tip onto her cheek. Her surprise captivates me. This is your cock, I would say. This is your cock. Why are you surprised? Were you not aware of this attached to you? Or, I realize, this image implies another possibility. This cock hadn't been there. Her surprise is from the sudden appearance of the 3-foot-long cock. She grew, via magic or science fiction, an incredible schlong. The ultimate grower, not a shower. I felt captivated. A furnace flicked on inside my ribcage, and an engine began to move inside my skinny jeans. Skinny jeans. I jerked off to this ad. I jerked off to this ad, and I would bring her to mind, seeing her in the back of my eyelids, her shocked face, her groaning face, for the nights that followed. A word hung off of her image, the word attached. She-male. I had my North Star. I searched and found these images of girls with cocks all over porn sites. I was fascinated. I wanted to see them fuck, see myself fuck them, see myself fucked. One of these girls started as a boy. A magic wand was flicked and he was tied up. He groaned as his hair stretched past his blossoming breasts, and he sighed when his cock shriveled up and disappeared into his body, leaving behind fluttering lips. The witch then waved her wand again, and her cock sprouted from her cock sprouted from her lace panties. She turned the new girl over and fucked her from behind, suspending her wrists with emerald glowing leather, summoned from another dimension. I would read this again and again, shooting tiny loads from thy little cock. My nights were spent spending myself on images, LCD licked of boys turned into girls and girls fucking and being fucked into boys. Eventually, a wolf drifted up from the bottom of my Tumblr scroll. Rippling gorgeous abs on a jacked anthropomorphic dog. It grinned cartoonishly while railing a sheep, her ass round and dripping with their combined fluids. I found more. The panting dogs, wailing cats, bulls snorting as they filled red-faced cows, gasping for air in their euphoria. Yes, I found furry porn, at last. A specific comic site by one artist captivated me for years. I can't remember their name. The site had a title like transformation.com, maybe. That's just a tag on so many sites now. The artist drew comics depicting humans undergoing transformations. They would become hybrid human animals. Humans turned into furries. Oftentimes, the transformation was a kind of aphrodisiac. One in particular had a cabin in the woods from which a couple could not escape. They obviously would get horny there in the woods, but each time they climaxed, a change took place. They became more animal. One, a boar, the other a lion. In addition, they would grow new organs. Above her pussy, a cock grew. Under his cock, a cunt opened. They fucked each other until their skin changed. He fucked her until she started fucking him. They screamed in their pleasure until their teeth shifted, until the bones in their faces cracked and changed, until their hair spread over and their fingers formed into paws, their asses adorned by tails. The changes were horrific to these poor creatures, but to their pleasure, oh, the pleasure, they couldn't help themselves. The effect of the cabin was too strong. Despite any resistance, desire wormed through their willpower, and they would take each other in their mouths. They would drink each other until they couldn't recognize themselves. They would leave the cabin only after the transformation was fully completed, and the hermaphrodite furries would step out into their new lives, but at that point I would typically have come already, taken in by the ecstasy of their gift, the change given to them. I closed my eyes and pictured my reflection altering in the intensity of my pleasure. I would moan as my own mouth changed. Who am I? Who is this? What is this body of mine? Dreams of my body bent into stunning shapes, slipped through my eyes, caressing my optic nerve, a silken thread strung down the middle of me, electric light from filaments in my crotch, turning to a cunt under my eyelids. I would get dressed, wondering how my shirt would look with breasts underneath. I would jerk off, wondering how it would feel to be fucked, to have a cunt and a beast on top of me, gasping with the urgent need to fill me, leaving me wet and panting on the grass. What would that look like? What would I look like, feel like, or who would I be? I would smile in the mirror to be her. Obviously, I was a little pervert. Obviously, this was a fantasy. I would ride with my dad, uncles, grandpa, moving cattle from one piece of land to another, there where legs were bound in blue denim, tight and draped over cowboy boots. their eyes just shadows under their straw cowboy hats, and their bodies encased in plaid, locked under huge belt buckles, won from national rodeos. I found myself in my own small room of clothes. I would look at the girls' section. I would look at skirts, imagine that sweater draped over me, over her. There she is. Moving cattle each week during the summer, framing buildings on the weekends in the fall and winter. Each night my door closed and my laptop opened. Each night my eyes closed and my legs opened. In the dark, I found her. Is she a wolf? No, I wouldn't call myself a wolf. I like cats. I'm a cat person. I could also be a person who's a cat. What kind? A tabby? Orange? Gray? No. A black cat? A tuxedo? No. What about a Persian? An exotic? No. One cat appealed. The strange, alluring Sphinx. With her wrinkles and her frown, her large ears, maybe with earrings. I could play as her, or put her on in the night. Imagine myself secluded in a cabin, unable to control myself. Overcome with the heat, I would gasp with the pleasure. I would unbuckle my leather belt and my denim jeans. I would release myself, stroking while she appeared at the door draped in silk, illuminated by a lamp in the room behind her. Her hips and shoulders kissed by light. I would remove my plaid shirt, and she would place her hands upon me, lower herself to me. Her cock, hanging from her, would touch mine, trembling. She would smile and press her head to mine. I opened my eyes, and she'd gone. Before I would have time to look for her, I would feel a pain, sweet and stinging, stretch under my skin. I would moan when my teeth grew, and when my hair fell away, my fingers cracked and fused into paws. My scrotum, trembling, would drift away inside me, beautiful lips remaining. My cock would finally rest, snuggling down into my vulva to reclaim her throne. My clit, my queendom. I would rise and stretch my tail. It would wave in the air, and I would feel light. I feel light. I place my paws on the closed curtains. I want to see her. I want to see her in the window, dark mirror with the nighttime outside. Spreading the window, I'm blinded. The light of the morning on the ranch. I see the dim, pale reflection of a naked teenage boy looking at an early morning field, horses grazing, and I would look down at my flat chest, penis dangling, pull on my jeans and fasten the buckle, tuck in the plaid. Even under the blue prison of the sky, my words chosen for me, standing in the dirt of a corral, secluded from myself, I can close my eyes, and I can see her.